Good evening, YouTube. Yo, it's Zan. I've had a full day of working on my house, and I am in the garage. I see a lot of bikes, a lot of stuff. We're going to focus on this one right here. See me in it? Hi. This is Courtney's 2015 Kawasaki Ninja 650. But, like, there's nomenclature for, like, ERN 6R or something, whatever. Anywho, it's got nice new plastics on it from a couple years ago, and we're gonna add in, I've got some Puig, I think I'm saying that right, Puig, frame sliders that we have to add on. So I looked at how to do this, and to my dismay, I have to take both side fairings off, which I don't love doing, but we're gonna get there. What I think we have to do is, if I remember properly, is take off the windscreen, screen below it, disconnect the speedometer, odometer, tachometer assembly, pull out these plastics, and then we can get to it. So there's a lot of things that have to come off the bike before we can get to the crucial parts I need to get to. But we're going to install them. Basically, to get a lot of the stuff off of this bike is one style of Allen, which I believe is a 4 or a 5. I always forget which one, 4 or 5 millimeter. I have both, luckily, right here. I use these so much I know exactly where they sit. And I'm going to go with a 4. I'm going to go with the smaller one. Let's see. Jeez. Yep, 4 mil. So 4 millimeter. And if you got a stock bike, a lot of it will just be 4 millimeter. Bad part is Courtney and I added these neat little aluminum bolts throughout. These green ones here, if you can see them, and they are star bits. So I have to get some Torx bits out too, which I have, and I may need the 5 for something else later. But right now we're gonna put that away. Picking up my garage as I go, parts and pieces of stuff. They're gonna help me. So first thing you do is you unscrew these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And take it off. You take this off. Now that that's off, go to the next thing. Okay, we got those 4 bolts off. And this is one of those aftermarket iridium windscreens, and these are very prone to fingerprinting. So I'm going to give this a good cleaning before we put it back on the bike. We also have some old Ninja 300 parts I found over here, and possibly, actually, one of those might be the windscreen that was on her 650 when we bought it. I think this one's that. Okay, now that that's out of the way, you've got, I'm missing a piece here. There's some plastic pieces missing on this bike when we got it, but I'm going to try to see if I have spares laying around. Let's see, so these are the adjusters for the windscreen. There's 2 bolts on each side where my fingers are. They go in. Again, a 4 millimeter. And you have to take those completely out, and don't drop them, because there's a little slit they can fall down. So we'll take these off. Okay, now that those are out of the way, we've got these little plastic tabs. Put that down here, which I don't even know what these are. I don't think these, oh, found it. These are definitely not what came from the factory, and I know what came from the factory. They're the ones that push into the middle and expand. So I'm going to try to get these out, even though these seem to work. But I'm going to use my sticker scraper, but the back end of it. Yeah, these are nowhere close to what came from the factory, and I'm going to try to find as much factory or factory spec looking things as I can find for these, just to make it easier on myself the next time I have to take something apart, or whoever services your bike. Okay, so this plastic piece has to come off. There should be 4. There was only 3 on this. Push style rivets, plastic rivets, I'm going to call them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then these 2, I believe. And then this whole thing will come out. Now that the under cowl is all dismantled, I think you just kind of pick up on each of these sides. 1, 2, and then lift back. There we go. Under cowl's off. Next thing we have to take off is the instrument cluster, which are just these 2 bolts, which I am assuming are 10 mil. They're either 10 or 8, but take those 2 off, and this should lift out. Alright, so I've removed these 2 8 mil, and I'm pretty sure that the boot should come down. Might be stuck up in there pretty good. Might have to tease it out of there with a screwdriver, but this boot should come down so that we can get to the clip behind it. We don't want to jam through it though with the screwdriver, so I wonder if someone glued this one in place. Interesting. Okay. So a little bit of dirt in there kept it from coming out. Now we got the connector in the back, and there's a little connector up in here. You gotta push down. I'm gonna use my screwdriver, and this should wiggle out. There you go. I think what I'm gonna do before I put this boot on is clean it off, clean around here, because it definitely sits within something. It was a little difficult to get out. Now the next step, and remember, we're gonna get down to these green bolts here. They're gonna be probably different than your bike. Is this tachometer, speedometer, instrument cluster is actually attached to, I want to say this side, we'll come back around the front, to the passenger side of the vehicle. So what you have to do is you have to remove, and I think these are going to be still your 4 mil, but this bike's different. It's got upgrades. And I think this is supposed to be a pop rivet, but this is another Torx head, which is good for us. I have a little set of these right here. I'm missing one out of it though. That's not good. This one appears to be a T25, which I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be pop riveted. Let's see if we can go look at, wait, look at those are chewed off. Heather's bike, which I know is a different model, but yeah, hers has a pop rivet down there, a plastic rivet. How lucky can we get that these will all be the same size? They are not. So that's the other thing I don't like about this set that we used on Courtney's bike, is I remember having to use multiple tools to take everything apart instead of one or two. It's interesting. These three say what size torque it is on one side. This one doesn't. And it's like imprinted. I wonder if this is a mistake. But I am missing one of these. I think there's a T30 I'm missing. Seems a little loose. The unmarked one I'm going to assume is a T20. And that seems to be the right size. So again, your motorcycle most likely won't have these, but you've got these bolt kits that you can buy to put on to make your bike look a little flashier. And we used it here. So 1, 2, same on the other side, and the pop rivet. Okay. Alright, all those bolts are out, and now I'm pretty sure it's the driver's side first. You just kind of lift it up, and I think pull it. You gotta kind of wiggle it out. There you go. One. And then this one should have the instrument panel attached to it, the passenger side. And lift and kind of finagle it out of there. Oh, shoot. Now, your bike definitely won't have this. Your bike will not have a custom 3D printed piece holding on the LEDs, because I made that. And one of the lights is disconnected already. Interesting. I'm going to have to figure out where that went to. Reconnect it. So for now with this bike, I'm going to take my wiring out because I put it together, so I know what's going on here. I'm going to take the plug out. Put these pieces down on the couch, parts couch. And just re-plug together this switch for now. Tuck it down here out of the way because it'll be fine for now. Okay. Alright, YouTube. We've gotten all that off. The front of the bike's starting to look pretty empty. But now we got to tackle the big stuff, the side pieces. Now this piece, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm feeling it here. So these are aftermarket parts. I don't remember where we got them from, but I'm going to tighten this up. It seems a little loose. I'm pretty sure that this comes together as one piece. It is separatable, but they're bolted from the back, and I'm not going to get a tool in there to do that. So what I'm going to do is start with anything I can see. We're going to start with one there, and then we have the separator here. Now if we look up top, this should be on top of that, I believe. Someone may have been in here after me. This is supposed to be up on top of this, I'm pretty sure of, not below it. If you guys can see that. So we're gonna have to fix that fairing, or while putting something together it slipped and went underneath it and I didn't notice. So we're gonna fix that. That's gonna go on top. That should hold that in better. There's nothing connecting over here because that's just the backing. There is a inner well down in here that has to come off. That's a bunch of pop rivets. We're gonna have to get those out. I think it's the pop rivets and then everything that's holding it together, which is more pop rivets basically, which are these plastic rivets here, and then a few bolts. But I think this is enough for tonight. We'll jump back on this tomorrow. Same video, new day. Alright YouTube, we're back. Day 2 working on this Ninja 650. Today's plan and goal, let me make a goal. We have to take off this underside. There's this cowl thing underneath here, a bunch of push rivets, one on this side. They come together in the middle. I'm going to try to keep them connected, I think, and find all those, and then I should be able to take off both side fairings after I split them. Then I'll get to where I need to for the frame sliders. Yep. So if we get underneath in here, I don't know what you guys are gonna be able to see. Let me take this off my head. There we go. Okay. So there. I think there's one way down here somewhere. There's probably another one somewhere else, but we've got a bunch of different push rivets. That's got to come out too. It's gonna have to be separated. That's connected into the front. It's got to be. So you got to get all those out. So once you get those out, we'll come back and talk about the next step. Got it out. I wasn't able to separate it. I got to figure out. Oh, these just okay. So these slide together and lock together that way. But that goes under there. Okay, so these just slide together. I couldn't figure out how these went together and came apart while they were on the bike. That'd be easier to get them back in if I can do one at a time and kind of feed them back in underneath. Yeah, they got a bunch of different push pin connections. This one was tough to get out. Wiggled it out, but we got it. So now we got these out of there. Next thing is the main, I'm going to call them the main side fairings. And I gotta get this guy out of here. This is a really snug one. Without scratching any of the paint. Be very gentle with it. So we gotta get that out. I think there's one, yeah, there's one down below that looks like I was smart and I put one of the push ones in it, like this. Voila. So that came out. So there's one. I got two. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, if we get up here, I think it's then just 1, 2 bolts, and this whole thing, because I took everything else off it, kind of just slides out of here. I think. So I'm going to need Torx and 2 different size torque bits on this side. And then a torque and another torque, 2 different size torques on this side. But of course, you got a Ninja 650. Yours are probably not Torx. They're probably just Allen keys, which would be easier for you, harder for me, because that's what Kawasaki puts on them. This is an aftermarket kit. Let's see if we can get this out of here without breaking anything. I should just go inside and get my needle nose pliers, but I might have to cut this one out. But I was just looking, I can see bolts here for the lower part, but I still have to take the upper part. I got to get to like right here, but we'll get there. Okay, so once I get all this off, we'll talk about what it took in case there's anything else I didn't see. Oh, it's a scuff. That was a scratch. No scuff. It's like just needs to be just handprint. Yeah, so I'll take these two off, these two sides, and we'll talk about anything else I found. Maybe I'll show you how I slide this out. I don't think there's anything else holding on. And then we'll get to the next steps. Getting these frame sliders on there. So just like I said, those two bolts, the whole thing slides right out. Remember, if you're taking one of these apart or any fully faired bike, that your turn signals are normally attached to the fairings, so you don't try to walk away with the fairing until you make sure everything's disconnected. Now we have access to some bolts. I'm pretty sure that these are the two I need to pull out. It looks like it's an engine mount. So directly into the engine mount here. And then, okay, so maybe what we'll do is we'll take one bolt out, put in one, take this bolt out, swing it up, put it in so that nothing gets out of alignment. Safest way to do it. Let me see what we got over here. So here's the Puig sliders, and it's got a left and a right, which this is I'm working on the right side of the bike. So how did I set these up? So this is right side, I think. Okay, I got it. I thought these were going that way. So this is going to go right in there, replace those bolts. Okay, so I'm going to pull those out, install these. We'll relook at everything over there and make sure we torque it down properly. And then figure out how to get the fairings back on, either over these or not. I'm hoping there's a hole there it matches up with. I don't have to cut anything. I've had to cut fairings before in the past, and I don't really want to this time. Let's take a look first before I lose my mind. Oh no, it's gonna come out right here. Okay. If we just kind of line this up. Oh yeah, they come out right here. Okay. Or let's get it actually aligned. Where's that bolt hole? It's gonna come out right here. Perfect. That should be perfect. But I'm gonna see if there's a way to. Okay. So you got to kind of assemble these. It looks like it's a process. It's always a process, isn't it, with full fair bikes? So we're gonna have to take, assuming this apart, which is why it shows it all coming apart. You'll put this on, then put the fairing on, then put this through, tighten it, which I should be able to get a wrench easily behind the fairing enough to get in there, and then tighten that down, get that in the right position, put the cap on. The only thing I'm not seeing here is any torque specs for how tight everything has to be. That's a good side too. We're going to go on Puig.usa.com and see if they have torque specs. If not, somewhere here I have a general torque spec. I know I can look up the torque spec on the bolts. That's easy enough. These bolts that are going into the frame, these guys, I can look up the torque spec because I can find the torque spec for the bolts that are on the bike already. So we can torque those down. So the engine bolts are exactly right. But the rest of them, not so much. We're going to see if we can find torque specs. If not, I have a generic. There we go. I'll show you guys a generic torque spec bolt or bolt, torque spec, whatever. Just a generic for anything that's not listed in the Kawasaki manual is this. We will stick to this worst case because, you know, at least it'll be torqued down to something. Okay, I'm gonna remove those bolts. We'll see how this thing assembles. All right, just like I said, I took out the bolts, 12 millimeter, put them back on with my Allen. Everything's lined up, both sides. I'm not gonna go to this side and show you. This is loose still because I think I gotta take this off to just get the fairing on. So, yeah, so now it's reassembly time. These are, I guess, reassembly. We gotta reassemble the fairings, right? Yeah, love it. So I'm gonna start with this side because it's gonna be the same both sides, and this side's the closest one to me. So just gotta get the fairing now. Woohoo! Should be this one. Easy. Now can I? Yeah, I'll be able to reach in there and reattach the what you call it? The turn signal. We gotta get something. Oh, we got a little hook up front. We got this guy goes where? Here. This guy goes way up here. Okay. Okay, everything's got to be in place. Little tabs everywhere. Once you get it in, just give it a slide forward, I believe. Let's make sure we're lined up. We're not quite lined up front yet. Ooh. I remember these being a little touchy when I first did it, so that's where it's got to go. We got to get there first. This is probably all because, oh, yeah, this isn't gonna work this way, guys. So we definitely have to take this off. I'm trying to put this on and I can't get the angle right because this is literally pushing against the inside of the fairing. And I'm trying to turn this with one hand while balancing a fairing. Voila, okay, that's off. Now this might work. So what was happened is this is pushing out in the back of the fairing, and the front was not clipping in right because the back was pushing out. We're gonna hook that there, that there. Already, oh my gosh, yeah, okay. That was my bad. Almost broke a fairing trying to do that. Let's make sure yep, insides are lined. Close enough to alignment out here. We'll do a little fine tuning as we go. Now, we have to get, oh, well, this should be really easy. That goes right there, done. Well, not quite done. The hole lines up nicely, but that's where it's gonna sit. Okay, and then that'll sit like that. We'll put the cap on it once we bolt it in. Perfect, but what I realized I skipped in my step, and I'm glad I caught it now before we were too late, is, and let's wiggle this back out. Come on, there we go. Is I gotta torque these down still. So let's not scratch the fairing, put it away. I'll clean those up with my fingerprints. Double check our notes or our install guide here. We're going to take out all this because one thing we don't have that's showing up twice on this chart is a washer. I lied. We have the wash. Different thing I'm looking at. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong bolt here. We're good. We got this. Yeah, nothing on here about torque for any of that. The washer must be in the actual slider, not this part. So what I've done for these so far is I've gotten them as tight as I can with this wrench and just kind of left them, you know, not, well, I guess I could do this way and make them tear. But I don't know what the torque spec's supposed to be. I don't want to over torque them or anything. I don't want to under torque them and have them fall out. So I'm going to go look up on the Kawasaki manual what the torque spec for these are. I'll let you guys know when I come back. I'll probably already have them torqued down, but I'll let you guys know. Okay, so I just looked up the torque specs on these bolts. The right side of the bike is 22 foot-pounds, and the left side is 18, which was just crazy to me that they were different, but whatever. Plus, if anyone sees what I'm doing wrong here, don't comment. I just have what I have to work with right now. So there you go. So they're torqued down perfectly. Zeroed out the torque wrench perfectly. Put the wrong piece away perfectly. And now it's time for a full reassembly, which will be get the fairing on, wire it, make sure it's all wired with that, and then we'll work on bolting on the actual frame slider piece. So let me get the fairing on, we'll come back. Okay, side fairings clipped on up top, nice in line. It looks good there. I've got one bolt in here just to hold it together for now, so we can figure this guy out. It looks like, let's just double check something. Okay, there's a washer in there like it's supposed to be. Make sure all the parts are here. So I'm gonna have to put this, we're gonna come through that side. I'm gonna put this nut on the back, like so, and feed this through here. And I've got it held in both hands. Wrong one, and then feed her through. Now the only thing that I don't like about this whole setup is that there's no real alignment for these. Like, this doesn't have any way to fully align and make sure that it's 100% level. So it's going to bother me if I don't get these quite right. So what I'm going to do now is, I probably should have looked at this before I put it on, but we have a spare over there. So I should have seen what size wrench we need for this. Let's reach under, grab it out. Let's see if our 12 is not big enough. So we got to get a wrench behind it, hold the wrench, and torque down this somehow, or at least really tighten it. I'm going to look online because there's got to be some kind of torque spec for this. It's holding, it's, you know, it's a slider. I feel like we need torque, but I also figure out how the hell I'm going to get a wrench back here well and hold it in place while I torque this down. The answer is carefully. I think I have the right angle. I just need to rotate the bolt, or rotate the nut. Oh, I didn't check to make sure I had the right size. I still don't. That would help. A little bigger, maybe a 15. 15 it is. So maybe that would have helped if I had the right one to start with, but I didn't. Okay, so it's on now. Let's get this eyeball. It looks good to me from there, but I'm afraid once I start turning it, it's going to turn the middle part. So bring it back a bit. Yeah, that's going to. So how do you do this without turning everything? It's really, really odd. I guess I could, if I had an extra hand, which I may call in one, get that pretty darn close there. Now, try to tighten this anymore. I'm going to spin the whole assembly, aren't I? Guess not. Okay, so that's pretty tight. And that's it. It's going to sit right there. It's going to look gorgeous. I'm going to go, like I said before, I'm going to go online to Puig.USA and see if I can find a torque spec for this. And if not, I'll Google it. But these seem pretty neat. These are replaceable, I think. But they are rubber. They're like a really hard plastic. So, I mean, I guess they'll take a beating. And then there's a cover that goes on this. But we'll get to that. So let me go look up a torque spec. We'll come back to this. I'll show you how to get that on, and then we'll just reassemble the bike, and probably should just show you the finished product instead of going step by step how to put it back together, because you saw me take it apart, put it back together. It's the opposite direction. Watch my video in reverse. Alright, so I could not find the torque spec for this online. Did a couple forum searches, couldn't find it. So I went to the, what is it? Oh, thing behind me. Huh. I went to the handy Kawasaki manual and at least torqued it down to 35. It says between 33 and 40 something. I thought 35 was good. It seems very tight on there. I don't think it's going anywhere. If we notice anything wrong with it, I'll take it apart, maybe throw some thread locker on there, but it doesn't say to. Yeah. So the other cool part is these guys. We've got these high-tech parts. That's what it says on it. That go in here. Like so. Like so. Yeah, it's got like that. And they go on, maybe. Feed these little guys in here. There's little rubber holes in the back I gotta feed through apparently. And it's just about getting them aligned, and there we go. And then I guess I just pull on the rubber a bit from the back with a pair of pliers, which I have here. That's what it says, and then kind of pull them through so it tightens them up, and that's it. And then the rubber casings are on. Oops, I slipped. Yeah, it sucked it right in there. Okay. I think it said to twist them too. I gotta reread the instructions. 100%, but oopsie. Oh, good. Phew. Yeah, now those are on there really good, and those can pop off so you can get access. That's cool. It's like got a little air duct in there. Well, that's neat. So that's what the frame starter looks like. It's pretty neat. Kind of a pain in the butt to put on, but which ones aren't? I haven't found a single pair that I've put on besides those ones on Heather's bike, which we had paid to have those put on. So dealership did those. Yeah, I really like the look of these. They're stylish. I'm gonna double check to make sure I did those right, and make sure those rubber pieces are in there right. And then I'm gonna do the other side. We'll put the bike together. We'll do a once over, and yeah, probably end this video on a high note of a completed project. So there we go, YouTube. That is the Puig frame sliders. This is a 2015 Kawasaki Ninja 650. I just got to take it around the block once to make sure everything's still nice and tight on it. But everything went back together nicely. I changed out some of the bolts, gave it a quick detail. And this project's complete. If you have any questions, let me know. I don't know a lot about the bike, but I know enough that I can help, I think. Or if you need to know where I got those, it's at Hebelers. It's my boys. Yeah, until the next one, everybody ride safe. Peace.